Time for a walk through the Jenolan Caves.
Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, near enough. Too many kids. Anyway. So once again, my name's Felicity. I'm your tour guide. This tour goes for 1 hour. And there's Stu with his group. Good. Just a reminder, if you're on the Lucas, there he is over there. Now before we go in, I'd like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land, the Aboriginal people, mainly the Gungungurra, Wiradjuri tribes, and their elders past and present. Now before we go in, yes, there's rules and regulations. Don't touch anything in the cave except the handrails. Reason being, oils and acids on our skin turn the delicate decorations black. Takes hundreds of years for more calcite crystal to grow over the top. Unfortunately, no eating, drinking or smoking in the cave. Popcorn is fine, nothing else. Anybody with chewing gum, lollies, sweets in their mouth need to swallow it now in the minute before we go in. Reason being, native bush rats. Now they don't live in the cave, but yes, they can smell sweets on your breath. And we've found them 3.5 kilometres underground. And they come scampering into the cave, looking for the sweets in your mouth. When they find nothing, they start chomping on the electrical cable, and all the lights go out, and all the women and children scream. This is usually at the school holidays. It's so much fun. That's why we don't do that in the cave. Photographs, yes, you may take photographs, but be aware I have to turn the lights out behind me as we go through. The reason being, other tourists can come in behind us as well, so it's sort of a separation as well. You can take any sort of camera. The only things we don't allow anything with a tripod, like tripods, macro pods, on the dreaded selfie stick. Thou shalt not bring a selfie stick into the cave. They are evil, they break things, they are banned. Now I'm just going to really count, because now everyone's standing still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's go. Everyone's running away. What is that? Never mind. It is a bit cool in here. It's like 14, 15 degrees. It's not too bad. It's a very cool cave, this one. Never come to Jenolan in the winter with your shorts on because it snows heavily. And there's usually a nasty gale force wind howling through the Grand Arch, and it usually manages to howl its way through here. And forget 14 or 15 degrees, try 7 or 8. And that explains why, until we get deeper in the cave, it has a very dry, crusty appearance, because even though the cave is a damp cave, the wind/breeze just dries everything out all the time. The dirty appearance, they say, is eons of time of bushfire smoke being sucked through the cave, which you experienced this time last year. We were evacuated, the fire brigade moved into Cave's house, and they managed to stop the whole lot going up in flames. So we came back to work 2 weeks later, and then we had the 100-year flood, except it was more the 200-year flood, and that really almost destroyed the whole place. Buildings, caves, the whole lot. So we only just got the Imperial Cave up and running again the week before Christmas. And a lot of I'll talk more about the flooding and the damage once we get down to the river. Okay. Hands up those of you, and I know about you, who's never been in the cave at Jenolan before?
I haven't.
No, and I reckon all the kids and all the grown-ups reckon they have.
Nope.
But you didn't fib, okay. All right, you put your arms down. It's not school, it's okay. All right, now I'm going to do the geology. Now the scientists say where we're standing now is about a 12-kilometre square of almost pure limestone that began its formation in the bottom of a warm, shallow offshore ocean about 430 million years ago, the end of the Silurian period and well before the age of the dinosaur. And how they work that out, there's no fish fossils in our limestones. So it's before fish in the ocean had skeletons. Little creatures that lived in the ocean eventually died. Their skeletal remains fell in the mud. Eons of time of compression. This is what we end up with, limestone. And we're 97%. So everything you see here is almost pure limestone. Now we've had a series of uplifts, meaning the ocean floor has come up and down several times. The last time it occurred, we're attached to Antarctica. Totally different climate, exceptionally wet and cold, not a gum tree in sight. You had virtually a rainforest canopy, very similar to the cold weather canopies they have in New Zealand, lots of rotting vegetation on the ground. Now that's important in the formation of limestone caves. Carbon dioxide in the air mixing with rainwater, mixes with all that rotting vegetation, causes a chemical reaction. The water becomes mildly acidic, it's called carbonic acid, it dissolves the limestone, and the scary part is they tell me it's similar in strength to Coca-Cola, which gives you something to think about. So you have a river of acidic water carving its way through, and that's what we're walking on this afternoon, a very ancient river passage. Now the river that created this is some 25 metres below us, and after I finish the geology we'll trot off and talk about you better not fall in the river, safety talk, that's what. But in the meantime, more geology, get it all over and done with. Everything hanging off the walls, the ceiling, the floor are mineral deposits, and they're being deposited by rainwater filtering through and degassing. What that means is carbon dioxide goes off into the atmosphere, leaves behind a little droplet of mineral. Pure white calcium carbonate. The other colour ranges from a pale peach to a Vegemite colour. Iron oxide or rust, that's the colour of our soil. Now, they come in different shapes, boys and girls. Probably most of you know if it looks like a drinking straw, we call it a straw. However, they can block up with a bit of sand or grit. Mineral then grows externally. You have these weird looking lumps hanging up there. They are your stalactites. Easy way to remember, they hang on tight. Now, if the water flow is great and that doesn't happen, water falls from the floor and water falls from the ceiling to the floor, and the mineral starts to build from the floor up. You'll see a lot of that as we walk along. They're quite solid. They're your stalagmites. They might reach their parent one day, and when they join together you have a pillar or a column. Takes a long time though. 1 or 2 centimetres equates to 100 to 150 years growth, water dependent. No water, nothing happens. However, millions of years ago, it was very wet. There would have been an embankment, a waterfall cascading over the top. All of that has now ceased, and you're left with a dormant waterfall, which we call flowstone. And you'll see a lot of flowstone as we go through the cave. Now, the early pioneers were farmers. They kept sheep. They thought the walls had a woolly appearance, and to them, this looked like merino fleeces flung on the wool class's tables. That's named the wool shed. Now, I'm going to lead the charge, but I do need help. You can try for it.
Pretty cool. It gets a bit tight, but you know, can you do? Here we go.
it's dangerous around there. If you fall in the water, it's 4 metres, right? So look, it's a hell of a lot deeper than you might think. But we've got to just keep coming in, because the people at the back are once more stuck. All right?
Always.
Now, any kids that are near the water, hold the handrail. All right? Okay, we have 2 rivers at Jenolan. The River Styx is on the other side of the archway. Now, where this water's coming from, where I won't let you go, round the corner, there's a big boulder, and the water is gushing up from underneath it. Okay, now the water about 4.5 kilometres west of here, and attached to here is a little creek, and suddenly that creek vanishes into the limestone. However, in the same area is a massive cave, and deep in that cave is a lake. And the scientific divers have gone down 92.7 metres. It's black water diving. Logistically, they can't dive any further because it takes 3.5 hours to decompress. So they sent a camera down another 17, 18 metres, didn't even reach the bottom, and footage came back with even more tunnels to be explored. So I don't really know what they're going to do about that. If I'm really quiet, you might be able to hear the water. Now it's running past me, under the causeway, and about 20 metres it reaches the blue lake outside. Okay. Now the water goes through a light filtration process, and it's Jenolan's drinking water. But our leftovers go down the Cox's River system to Warragamba Dam. So we're also a very minor tributary to the Sydney water supply. Now, but things got really stuffed up during the floods. I was going to talk to you about that. So there was so much water and debris coming through the valley. Forget that creek that vanishes into the limestone. It did that and still flooded across the top. So in here was flooding. The edges of the karst started to crumble, and guess what? The Blue Lake vanished. It was nowhere to be seen, and no one had ever, in living memory, had ever seen that happen. So it became a gravel pit. No more Blue Lake. And of course it blocked the 2 exits for the 2 underground rivers. So guess what? They couldn't get out. They started going back again. So it was everything up to the ceiling. The other side, the River Styx, there's still enormous damage to the River Cave tour. Like all the lighting, handrails was ripped out. We're not talking about a pool of water. We're talking floods underground as well as outside. So we only just got this cave up and running the week before Christmas, and we still don't have the underwater lights put in because you've got to wear a wetsuit and be awfully careful putting in the electrics. So it hasn't been done yet, but I didn't have to tell you that. It looks really good, doesn't it? Yes, so nothing lives in the water, which is just as well. When the lights are out, it's pitch black. Therefore, there's no plant life. Therefore, there's no frogs, yabbies, eels, stuff like that, except a little critter called a cincarrid. It's been extinct everywhere in the world for 20,000 years, except at Jenolan. It's in our drinking water. Wow. Now, it's almost microscopic. They tell me it's like a little prawn, okay? So when you go back to the cafe and you have your coffee, and if you feel something scratching in your throat, fear not, you didn't stir the sugar. Mr. Cincarrid has long since gone in the light filtration process. Now, some of you were commenting on the lovely steep staircase we came down. Now that was put in 1900. Feast your eyes upwards. Now, in the old days, prior to 1900, see the widest crack? It's not very wide. Up there. Now there was a nifty little ladder that went on that little platform they built straight up, and it was never electrified, so you came down by candlelight. And obviously your physical being would have to resemble a ferret. If you were even halfway chubby, forget it. So when we eventually get to the top, then I'll show you the other way, so you can really appreciate what the tourists had to put up with in the old days. More or less, quite a few people would have fallen in the drink, but history doesn't relate so many, but you can just imagine, can't you? All right. You're the new fearless leader.
Okay.
Yes. Now, it's going to take us 4 minutes we're going up the stairs and you're turning to the left. Just excuse me, what's the little bloke's name?
Max.
Max, would you like to help? Mum and Dad can help as well, and this big bloke here. Mum and Dad and Max, come up here.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Now, Max, all right, big bloke, Max, father. Right, we've got this. Watch it. So the big bloke is going to walk up and he's going to be the fearless leader because you're little, and we're turning to the left. The lights are on. Now, Max, what you have to find when we start turning around, on the wall is a box. It's a glass box. You should be able to see it, even though it's about that high. And it's got bones in it. So get Dad to help you find the bone box.
Okay, come, Dad.
Go. There you go.
Look, I can see all the... Where's the bottom?
You got lots of teeth. Okay. The bones. They were discovered in 1975, a couple of metres round the corner, and needed a major refit of the cave. Now, that was quite a find because he didn't live in the cave. He lived up in the bush, and obviously he's died. There's been a flood. The carcass has been washed in, and a few thousand years later we dug him up, and there he is on display with his little sharp teeth. Now, the paleontologists can't make up their mind how long ago did the Tasmanian devil live upstairs. They're saying anywhere between 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. The money's on 4,000 at the moment, but they keep changing their mind, and not necessarily, I don't even read the print anymore because sometimes it's out of date and sometimes it's correct. So in other words, they don't really know, but about 4,000 years ago, the Tasmanian devil was... I would like one of them in my backyard. They're hard enough having the spotted pole. It's sort of related in the teeth department. Now, you did well, Max.
Yeah.
You've done well as well.
Yeah, really well. My dad helped me find it.
Okay, how about we'll get the two boys. Or maybe, hang on. I want all the kids that are his age group or primary school, not olders. Have we got primary school kids up the front if they want to be?
Can we go up there?
Now, and the parents are coming too. So what you've got to find, 4 minutes walk, round the corner, lights are on. On this side of the wall, kids, what you've got to find is a spooky staircase. You don't climb it, you just find it. Can you do that? Off you go.
Yeah, I can find anything.
And we'll find you because you've got a big voice.
How you feeling? Puffed.
This cave was discovered on the 16th of February 1879 by a young man named Jeremiah Wilson. Lived in the area, became the first boss of the caves. Now above us is another couple of cave systems. Jeremiah was up there with 3 workmen. They were doing whatever workmen do up there. And he had a brand new hat on his head. Unfortunately, when he bent over, the hat fell down here. No one had ever been here before. They wanted to find the hat. So 1879, by the way, that is the year that the use for electricity was discovered, but we didn't have any. So he's got his longest rope, his biggest candle, down he came, found the hat, looked to the left and the right and said, crikey, it's flat, I think I'll bring a cave tour in here next week. And he trots off around the corner. And the next minute you hear, oi, where are you going? And he went, whoop, came back, looked up. There's 3 heads wedged in the hole, wondering where he'd gone. Now, I think it's miraculous. They all came down. Now remember, there's no handrails, no lighting. No one's ever been here before. They had no idea what could have been a monster with 1,200 legs waiting for them. Who knows? But that didn't happen. But where we're going to finish the Imperial, they got that far. Then they came back. They actually discovered the location of the underground river but didn't go down to it. Then they had to get back up again by candlelight, 6 hours. And within about a month, they were actually bringing tours down this way. Very adventurous, just crazy business. 1879, the use for electricity was discovered. 1880, guess what? They put 25 light robes in this tour, which everyone was very excited about, except they were a bit dim, the light bulbs. And as they walked along, they still had to use the candles, but to have a few electric lights, they thought that was marvellous. So, in 1885, remember there's 2 big cabins up there, the government said, right, we'll light them up as well. So they put this U-U staircase in to underneath that big section of rock. And when they got there, they found that it was the too expensive, too hard basket, never electrified, and which is a shame because they're absolutely gorgeous caves, but people being people said, no, we want this new invention, the electric light, so nobody went there anymore. These days, I should rephrase that, before COVID, this was a very wonderful tour at night. It was called Off the Track, so we'd give you a helmet, it was 8 o'clock at night, give you a helmet with a light on it. People really, really wanted to do it. Do you know why? because there's no lights in there. We want the cave with no lights, so it's not a full circle. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we're not doing it, but we're rather hoping that things might change. A bit of more geology. These are called shoals, and they're created by the water running down the surface. The mineral builds out and down. Now the orange banding is iron oxide. Where it's sparkling, that's still very dry, it's dormant, and it's just six-sided crystal catching a light. If it was wet, it would look like candle wax. Now, this chamber has a nickname. It's called Ridley's Shortcut. Young Mr. Ridley, probably 17 or 18, he was up there doing one of the tours by candlelight, and he was another one of these young people that do not listen to the safety talk. And he's going yabba, 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 and guess what? He fell through the hole. I nearly fell over. Do you know why I nearly fell over? Because where Ridley landed was right where your feet are. He landed splat, but he didn't die because he hit the electric wiring, so that sort of broke his fall. But he broke just about everything in your body and still lived, and to get him out was a bit hazardous.
Did he break his neck?
No, he didn't break, no. No. He broke everything else though, and I shouldn't say this in front of small children, but we had a look at the Mitchell Library newspapers at the time, and it was reported to the minister who was running the place at the time that there'd been an accident, and it was reported that the guide and the Mr. Ridley had been drinking at lunchtime, which is probably why Mr. Ridley survived the fall so nicely. And the next day, the minister said he was coming to Jenolan. This is in like a long time ago. The minister was coming to Jenolan Caves, and he was taking away the liquor licence forthwith. Hotly denied by Jeremiah Wilson and Mr. Ridley. But anyway, they couldn't drag him up this way. They had to go back that way. Now, remember where we all ducked under? That's hand-carved. You would have been crawling on your hands and knees, dragging Ridley along by his ankles. Where we came up to the big metal door, that didn't exist for about 45 years. There's a little cave to the left of that, and there's a sheer drop into the Grand Arch, and there was a metal ladder that went from the cave down to the arch, and that's how they got Ridley out. So they weren't a sympathetic lot. Look at this. I think this is hysterical. In pencil, it says, Ridley's Shortcut, 56 foot. Now, Sebastian, it's going to take 4 minutes. Keep going to run out of life at a normal staircase. It's not spooky or anything.
Amazing.
Is this exciting, Max?
Yeah, exciting.
Excellent.
Really exciting.
You've got to have a that came to the caves. First explorers were locals, and guess what? They were all Methodists. And back then, if you were the first lot in, you had first go at naming all the caves. So it's sort of a bit biblical as we get further. Lot's wife, remember the old story about cities full of evil people? They ended up getting nuked, and the Lot family were told, run as fast as you can, whatever you do, don't look back. So they're running along as fast as they could. Unfortunately, Mrs. Lot was a sticky beak, and she had to have all what's going on behind her, turned around and turned into a pillar of salt. Magic happens at Jenolan. She turned up here. You are going to lead right past her, and when you run out of light at a big overhang, it's going to take you 30.5 seconds. Go.
I'm still at my
Now, kids, turn around and look that way, because that's what kids just come on and look over there, because that's where the lights are going to be.
It's so giant.
wow.
Hey! Wow, this is a
Now, this section was called Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember the cities full of evil people that got blown up? Guess what? In the 1800s, tourists were more superstitious than they are today. Tourism dropped. Nobody wanted to visit Sodom and Gomorrah in case some curse came back to their farmhouse or village. So the powers that be decided to change the name. They had a good look at Lot's wife. No one was scared of her, but this Sodom and Gomorrah bit was a bit iffy, and so they decided to change the name to the Crystal Cities. I would have called it the Great Wall of China myself, but I think at the time no one here knew what it looked like, so Crystal Cities it is. Now, how they're formed? Flooding. I don't know what happened this time last year, but I can imagine. But I have seen it flood in 1998. Now, we had 4 days of torrential rain, really weird weather pattern. After day 3, the mountain was absolutely saturated. Now, above, through all of the limestone, are cavities. And when you get masses of rain like that, the cavities fill up with water and they become like mini reservoirs. So on day 3.5, now this had no one had ever seen this happen before either. That's a dormant waterfall. Suddenly it became very active. All the water that was engorged inside the mountain just burst, and I mean burst, it just flew out, hit there, came down, all of this flooded and all of that went under as well. And it remained relatively still for about 3 months before it either ebbed off to the underground river or evaporated. Now, there was so much crystal in the water that it rafted to the surface and looked like a very thin veneer of ice. And either with the surface tension or the flow, the crystal either sticks to the top or the sides of those walls. They're called rim pool walls. They're in all of the caves to some degree or another, but they're quite dramatic in here. Now, Sebastian, do you still want to lead the way?
Yes.
Okay, now what's going to happen, grown-ups?
I'm moving really well.
Okay, you go with Sebastian, all right?
I know.
Sebastian, will you look after Max? He wants to help. I can just say, excuse me, Max, and you can get past the girls. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now Sebastian and Max, this is what's happening. We're going to go in on the left, and we're going around the corner. Now there's a big spooky hole on the left. Don't go up there. Spooky staircase. Don't climb that. You can drive a car, don't you? You know what a U-turn is? So you're going to do a Yui and you're going to come back to me. And there's some very pretty crystal there. Grown-ups, have a quick photo, quick look, but that's the rule. Round, U-turn, back, follow Sebastian and Max. Max, don't jump up and down, you'll hit your head. Keep going.
Ah, directional.
So you don't want any confidentiality.
That's right. She's beautiful.
to Sebastian and little Max and the girls for helping. We're actually on time, which is marvellous. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. Enjoy the rest of your stay at Jenolan Caves. I will lead the way out because we've got one more light to go, but you can help me.
Midget at the top, Maxie.
Oh, what else?
In the character that you got. Right.
3.5 going on 16.
Yeah.
You wait till 16.
Oh, no thanks.
You got a duck lower then.
He's told me that.
That's awesome.
Thank you, big bloke, for having a good sense of humour.
Thank you so much. Smells monkey in here. Oh, scared me. Oh, it's funny. So, what'd you think?
Good.
That's awesome. Go again?
Yeah, but not that long ago, another one.
Not today.
No.
So, yeah, that's done.
That was awesome.
Beautiful.
Thanks to Dad.
Thanks to my dad, yep. So, that is the Imperial Cave, Jenolan Caves. And now we're going to go home.
Let's go get ice cream and then we'll go.
Ice cream sounds good too. Alright, peace out.